The Mediterranean Sea, for some people, is a way of life, the only life they know. Morning comes early for the small fishing village of Marsa, situated in Malta. Year after year, these Maltese fishermen brave the sea in these boats. Their aim is to bring back one of the sea's most sought catch, the dolphin fish, known locally as the lampuka. Behind each catch, there is a story that the average consumer rarely, if ever, has the opportunity to fully experience and appreciate. The Maltese fishermen are well known for their relationship with this creature, the lampuka, the dolphin of sailors, or Coryphena hipporus. In order to truly understand this story in its entirety, we must look at the sea, where it all begins, and see it for ourselves from the fisherman's perspective, whose courage and sacrifice makes all this possible. This is the story of the Maltese fishermen who go out in the open sea to catch the lampuka. Marsa is a beautiful, picturesque village overlooking the sea, situated at the extreme southeast of Malta, a position which has always furnished its fishing and cultural link with the Maltese Islands. It consists of an area of 4.7 square kilometers and a population of around 3,500 inhabitants. But behind such eye-catching scenery, there is a story to tell. It is the story of the Maltese fishermen, as told by them, their life, their hardship, and their outlook for the future. Derived from the word Marsa, which means a place fit for anchorage or a harbour, this quiet little fishing village becomes quite busy on a market day. Home to about 70% of the Maltese fishing fleet, the harbour is like a bowl of beautifully wrapped candy with scores of vibrantly painted boats in hues of yellow, red, blue, green and brown, all nestled side by side. The water is strung with boat upon boat, bow to stern across the crowded bay, with fishermen working side by side. Kannizzati Fishing is a story of the lives of many men and women at Marsa. Today, around 1% of the Maltese population makes its living directly or indirectly from the activity generated by fishing. One of the fishing seasons most eagerly awaited by these fishermen is the lampuki season, where Kannizzati fishing takes place. The beginnings of the traditional Maltese method of capturing lampuki by the use of a kannizzata are blurred. However, it is thought to date back to Roman times. The lampuki season may amount up to 40% of a Maltese fisherman's income for the year, with the fish being consumed locally and exported. The mere volume indicates that lampuki have been an important source of food for the Maltese since centuries, which is probably why it has gained in popularity. As soon as the season begins, those fishermen who are licensed to engage in this fishery lay out a number of anchored cork floats at intervals along a course running out from the coast into deep water. Each year, the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture receives a number of applications from full-time and part-time fishermen to lay Kannizzati floats. By drawing lots, each fisherman is allotted a site to lay floats on a bearing point, thus preventing disputes in the laying of these floats. Each licensee must lay at least 35 fish aggregating devices, or FADs, locally known as Kannizzati, in a straight line along the course indicated by the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture officials. The Kannizzata consists of tubular masses of sheet cork, several layers thick, bound together with a polyethylene rope. Each float is marked together with a battery lamp to make it visible at night. The float is anchored to a heavy slab by means of a polyethylene rope. Just under sea level, palm fronds are tied to the rope to afford more shelter to the fish. Gilbert Balzan, who was the principal fisheries protection officer at the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, explained to us how the sights are extended seawards, opening in a fan-like manner. Fishing vessels less than 6 meters reach out till 25 miles from Maltese shores, with the larger vessels reaching further than that. The role of the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture is to provide appropriate bearings and positioning along the 7, 12, 25 and 100 miles routes. This restriction as regards to fishable area is intended to reduce the fishing effort, thus controlling the sustainable yield of the stock. Every year, the fishing boats are fixed up and freshly painted. They keep their own names, but they get a new wardrobe. Others start making the necessary preparations to equip their boats with supplies or any required maintenance. The already colorful boats are filled to the brim with hardly enough space left to maneuver. August the 10th, the most keenly awaited day for the Marsaxlokk fishermen and their families. Mass is celebrated in the open. It is the custom of these fishermen to gather in the port at the start of the Lampuki season to have their vessels blessed by the Marsaxlokk parish priest. Carvin was steered by the Schiavone family as the small kayak wriggled steadily amongst the other boats. We were greeted by the fishermen who waved their palm fronds, symbolizing when Christ entered Jerusalem. Dr. Fenek Farrugia, who is the Director General at the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, introduces the fishermen individually to the Honorable Clint Camilleri. We are greeted by smiles, cheerful faces and waving, unaware of what may lie ahead to the hardship that is to be encountered in the coming weeks. The Sea Star 1 is equipped and ready. In the coming days, we will be going with the Karabot family to fish for Lampuki. The port was exceptionally busy, with other fishermen carrying palm fronds and anchorage stones on their respective vessels. The crew of Christure hired a small crane to assist in the lifting of the heavy anchorage stones. At least that would eliminate some of the hardship involved. But Michael Bugeja still has to move the anchorage stones around the deck of Christure. Little do people realize the hardships involved when it comes to such preparations in catching Lampuki. The next day, the crew of Sea Star 1 were ready to cast off. Carmelo Karabot, known with his nickname as Takalchi Talfonoch, waits for his 3 sons to return safely, as they had already cast their anchorage stones on the designated bearing early morning. His sons, Jason, Cilio and Franz, are also known by their nickname as Tane no Takalchi. This is the first operation, that is the laying of the Kannizzati in Marsashlok southeast area along the set route given by the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture. The fishermen loaded their palm fronds, anchorage stones and cork floats. It is the 14th of August, 4 p.m. Off we go in one of the most important operations of the Kannizzati Fishing. The accurate positioning of these floats is made possible by means of good navigational equipment and by the superb seamanship of Franz Karabot, the skipper of Sea Star 1. The sea had a devilish oscillating swell, but the Sea Star 1 crew are well experienced in such conditions, and even worse at times. Jason and Chilio wait patiently for instructions from Franz. In the meantime, Jason takes the opportunity to check that everything is in order. Mistakes cannot be made at this stage. It is the moment of truth. Franz calls Jason and Chilio to get ready to lay the first anchorage stone. The brothers synchronize their work as they drop the anchorage stones, cork floats and palm fronds on the set bearing one by one. The operation continues throughout the rest of the afternoon. Swift and experienced hands are essentially vital. Franz gives a lending hand to his brothers to quicken the pace as dusk is approaching fast now. The Sea Star 1 is now surrounded by blackness as we slowly return back to base. The light oozing out from the Sea Star 1 cabin is a relief. It is around midnight as we enter Marsashlok port. Home is always a sign of relief as we are greeted with a warm yellow street light. We slowly disembark from Sea Star 1 and ended the day with a couple of stories from my side, much to the attention of the Karabot brothers. Now starts the moment of waiting and finding the right time to fish for lampuki. Finally, after several attempts because of buoyant weather conditions and in finding a common date between all concerned, September the 5th, 3 a.m. becomes another day of adventure. Today is the moment of truth for the fishermen and our crew. Franz and Jason, together with their father Carmelo, make Sea Star ready and equipped for the job that lies ahead. A fishing vessel that uses a net that draws together like a bag is referred to as a persina. The Sea Star 1 will temporarily serve as home, bed and kitchen for both the Karabot fishermen and our crew for the duration of this trip. Today the fishermen brought all the things they need, from ice to keep the lampuki caught fresh and the food they will need for the trip. One could feel the excitement all around, although this was surely not the first time that they had been out to catch lampuki. Jason and his father Carmelo catch up with family matters. Franz has his attentive eyes fixed on the route of the Sea Star 1. Franz has the face of a weathered, experienced fisherman and knows what it takes. The route is fixed and the GPS makes his life a little easier. This trip will take Sea Star 1 to around 32 miles from Marsashlok into the Mediterranean, where the lampuka is probably most abundant. Jason loses no time to organize things. Carmelo gazes into the empty night blackness, recollecting some good old memories and most probably speculating on how many lampuki they were going to catch. At times, the aged, attentive eyes of Carmelo monitor the work being done by his son Jason. he has taught his sons all there is to know about catching lampuki. The journey is long, and a throbbing engine of Sea Star 1 does not make life any easier. We are now surrounded by entire blackness as the Sea Star 1 rode a sea and sky of black in the very early morning hours. Franz signals his father that we are nearly there. As we approach the first Kannizzata, Carmelo switches on the portable searchlight. He is checking whether there are any lampuki under the respective Kannizzati. At a distance we could not help but notice the distant ships with their lights on. At least we were not alone. Our searchlight picked a sinister seagull resting on the cork float, which quickly fled away as soon as it sensed the light on it. The place becomes so eerie in pitch black conditions. No luck yet. It is break of dawn. As we close in on our Kannizzata, Jason uses the fishing fly to catch a lampuka. This will indicate that there may be others under a Kannizzata. At this stage, the crew and fishermen are already one with the sea. When one is fishing for lampuki and fumfrey, the sea has to be as calm as much as possible. Carmelo is never disheartened. Experience has taught him that perseverance is the key. Carmelo takes a chance and tells Jason to cast the fishing net. Franz joins in to help his brother. The winch is used to haul in the quite heavy net. When the net is close to the starboard side, Carmelo joins in to assist. The catch is poor. Only 3 lampuki are roped in. The hardship faced does not always translate into a fruitful catch. Carmelo and Jason arrange the dolphinfish net to cast on the next Kannizzata, if there are lampuki. Carmelo directs his son Franz. Experience counts at this stage. A fisherman's life is not an easy one. The dark, tanned faces of the Karabut family reflect the enduring hardships they encounter after spending hours at sea exposed to all the elements. Early mornings, hard work, long hours, and bad weather are enough valid reasons to keep them away from such work. Jason prepares to use the fishing fly as the next anchored float is approached. He wears a glove to prevent skin irritation from the nylon, especially if he gets a good bite. Prior to the actual fishing operation, it is common practice to use feather lures or artificial bait. A decoy fish attracts other fish which may be present around the fish aggregating devices. It seems that we have lampuki under one of the Kannizzati. The fishermen circle the Kannizzata at a 5 to 10 meter radius, trolling until a fish takes bait. They leave the decoy fish at the side of the boat to attract the other fish, and then throw a mesh net over and around the school to capture them all. Jason throws in a plastic bottle to attract the other lampuki. When the fish are aggregated in considerable numbers, they are caught by a surrounding net similar to a purseine. It is the skill of such fishermen to cast a deep net around the mass without disturbing the lampuki. This is one of the most crucial moments of the roundup. It demands great skill and intense focus. The next few minutes will make or break the catch. Speed is of the essence as the pressure mounts on. If they succeed, the catch may run into a number of lampuki. The net is like a giant snare. The bottom ropes of the net were then hauled onto the vessel by means of a hydraulic winch, closing the net like pulling the drawstrings of a purse. When the ends of the net met, They were hauled on board the vessel so that the fish caught inside were concentrated in one small area of the net. The float is slipped between the bottom of the net, which is now closed, except for a narrow slit between the lead line. The net is closed. The lampuki have nowhere to escape to. The last part of the dolphin fish net was hauled in by the three fishermen, confining the fish in the landing container. When the fishermen cast their net, their bodies and emotions are stretched to the limit. This operation takes less than 10 minutes when such fishing is done by professionals. The procedure was repeated every time the presence of a considerable amount of fish under a float was detected by Jason, Franz and Carmelo. If the fishermen can find a school of lampuki, they might have a chance of making good for the day. The fishermen told us that we had brought them a stroke of good luck, as they finally land a reasonable amount of lampuki. We now register the first smiles of the fishermen as the lampuki are placed in the landing container. Observing a number of lampuki wriggling on each other is always a spectacular sight to watch. Franz pushes on to try their luck again. In the meantime, Jason loses no time to put the lampuki in plastic boxes. There is a procedure to follow, as the lampuki must remain fresh. The lampuki are covered with a plastic sheet and then ice is applied. In this manner, freshness is guaranteed, as it is still early to return back to base. Carmelo gives a helping hand. The boxes of lampuki are stored in the cold room below deck. This time the fishermen detected a number of pilot fish, or fomfri. They have a go at it as they cast their net again. The result was once again fruitful. As the fomfri are placed in the landing container, Jason prepares the net again. It was time to return back home. The fishermen decided to return back to base as weather conditions were deteriorating. And thank God for that, as our crew could not take it anymore. The noise from the diesel engine, coupled with the swaying to and fro of the Sea Star 1, literally wrecked the brains of our crew members. Slowly and serenely, Sea Star 1 re-entered Marsaxlokk port at night. Franz expertly maneuvers amongst the boats until he moors Sea Star 1 along the quay. The day of the Karabot family is almost over, but there are a few pending tasks left that need to be addressed by the fishermen. Jason breaks the ice under the watchful eye of his father. In the meantime, Franz registers his lampuki and fomfri catch with the Fisheries Protection Officer from the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture. All details are logged and inputted in the landing sheet, which incorporates the lampuki sampling weight as well as other pertinent data such as the time the fishing took place, name and owner of the vessel, besides other data. One by one, the boxes of lampuki and fomfri were transferred from Sea Star 1 to their pickup van. At Marsaxlokk, the process is complete. The fishermen drive home to rest for a few hours. They have to wake up early next morning to sell their lampuki and fomfri at the fish market in Marsa. It is September 6th, 3 a.m. The fishermen start congregating at the new fish market in Marsa. Whilst some are already at work, others grab a cup of coffee at Talmanik. This new fish market, which opened on the 30th of November 2015, replaces the 80-year-old fish market or as locally known as the Pisceria in Valletta. The new facility has been constructed to the highest EU standards, guaranteeing greater efficiency and hygiene. Jason and Franz transfer the boxes of lampuki from the pickup van to one of the bays. Franz sticks the identification labels at the side of the box. The fish are then transported into the main hall of the fish market. Buyers, middlemen and fishermen start filling the main hall. The middlemen start their preparations for the day's auction. It is a time of anxious waiting. The hawkers roam around the auction hall eyeing what is a good buy. It is 4 a.m. sharp when the bell sounds. It is now that the auctioning of the lampuki starts. Suddenly the air is filled by deep and loud voices as the hawkers definitely make themselves heard amongst the buyers. The fishermen watch closely and attentively. As soon as a deal is struck, the buyers take the lampuki in their respective lorries, and which can be sold immediately to the general public. This new system has indeed brought a change in mentality on how operations were conducted in the past amongst fishermen, the middlemen and the buyers. Franz and Jason wait patiently until it is their turn. Once called in action, the boxes of lampuki are weighed and a price is agreed upon by the parties concerned. Jason transports the now sold lampuki caught by the Karabot family to the buyer. Another hard day's work for Sea Star 1 crew is over. Franz and Jason are happy to return back with their families. At night, all activities seem to stop, and this quiet little village dozes off in accordance with the day's rhythm. The clock is reset. The Karabot family will set out again to catch lampuki. Every struggle will be repeated, the solitude and deep waters faced, the empty nets, the aging machinery, the heartache of failure, and then the joy of success over and over again until Sea Star 1 heads for port again. Only a few can bear the hardships of a fisherman. A few, like the crew of Sea Star 1. Tomorrow will not be another day. It will be the same faces, the same difficulties, the same rhythmic waltz with the sea, and the same will to catch lampuki. Patiently, the fisherman untangles the net. Standing calmly, bracing the breeze on the dancing boat, cooled by the waters of the sea. The fishermen have to finish their work before dusk and then back home. The sun will soon set. Another day, another hopeful catch. The sea but remains the same. Daring to cast a fishing net in new waters, the fisherman moves closer to the life he believes that he was meant to live.